The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is presented by Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive and by the Garza Law Firm.
Good Saturday morning and welcome in to Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive for the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. John Pennington joined by VFL Ollie Lane. And yes, it is a bit of a missing man formation this week. Kevin Simon's out, banged up a little. It's the end of the season, so you're going to have some people banged up at this point. So Kevin Simon's out. We got a couple people who had illnesses this week as well. So I gotta apologize. It's the skeleton crew this week. We've only got a dozen people to talk to you today about Tennessee, Mississippi State. Get you ready for the game tonight. As I say, we are at Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. If you're looking for a new car, I highly recommend Kias. I love them. I've had 5 in a row. Never had a single issue with them. They're a great vehicle. And if you decide you want a Kia, then you need to come right here because Jake Bull and his team at Rusty Wallace Kia, they'll take any deal on a new Kia that you see anywhere in America. They'll beat it. Now that's pretty good. That's guaranteed cash in your pocket that you're not losing, that you're not waving, throwing too much to somebody else. Rusty Wallace Kia, Callahan Drive. Get down here and see him this week. All right, Ollie. We call this segment What's the Story? And we always talk about the biggest storylines of the week, and I think one of those is Nico Iamaleava and his performance against Kentucky last week. I'll read from the numbers here so I get them right. 28 of 38, 292 yards last week. 1 touchdown, no interceptions, which was key. He could have easily had another 100 yards and 3 more touchdowns, if not for some pretty blatant drops from his receivers. You got a lot of people now saying, okay, breakthrough game. Now it's going to be all aces and easy going from here. I don't know that that's how it works. So I'm going to ask you, was that just a really good game, give him credit for a good game, or was that a breakthrough performance?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard everybody talking about it this week. Which way is it? I think it was a really good game, and I think he deserves all the credit for having a really standout performance. But is it a breakthrough performance? I wouldn't say it's truly a breakthrough performance. I think it's just another addition to the resume that has been his rookie season and freshman season in the SEC and in college football. And he's done a really good job of progressing each week into what performances we have now and to look forward to in the future. Is it saying that we should add a layer of expectations now that he's going to be consistently like that every single game? I wouldn't go that far yet. Let's continue to let him have his freshman season, let him have some ups and downs, and continue to support him through it. I mean, the fact is there were so many missed opportunities left out there on the field on Saturday that would have boosted his stats, like you said, 100-fold. And I mean, it would have looked like a breakthrough performance, but it doesn't to me because you have so many of those dropped passes and left opportunities out there on the field that they need to revisit and come back to and figure out how can we get these back for him and for the team because it'll make us a much better whole unit together.
Well, and sometimes he needs help from his receivers. I mean, well, every quarterback needs help from his receivers, but what I'm specifically referring to is we've talked about it on the show before. Go back to 2022, the great year, 15 touchdowns from Jalen Hyatt. Yes, he caught a lot of deep balls, but there were also those 20-yard passes that he would take 50 or 60. Chaz Nimrod, not to berate him too much, but he had the obvious right across the middle. He could still be running.
Yes.
Drop the ball. Nico still needs that kind of help. The idea that it's just, okay, you're now the finished product. That's not how football works. So I think probably the breakthrough talk may be a bit much, but it was a good game, and you got to stack those performances together. I wonder about his confidence. Does that help him? I think the coaches deserve some credit for self-scouting because we've talked for a while, roll the pocket more. They are these days, and that's helping the offensive line defend him a little bit, but protect him a little bit more. So he's not staring at the rush. He's able to look at his receivers instead of sailing a few balls. He's a little more accurate. But I think the coaches deserve some credit for the way they're using him, the design runs, rolling the pocket, et cetera.
Yeah, no, I think the coaches deserve a big pat on the back of just being able to look at the past few weeks and the struggles and the frustrations that they've had offensively and understanding that we got to change a little bit of what we do to have a lot more success and build more confidence not only in our quarterback but our offensive line. And I mean, when you start getting into these rollout passes, moving the pocket around, it's not only generating more natural time for Nico, but it's giving that offensive line a lot more confidence that they can protect Nico for a longer period of time. And so it's good to see that the coaching staff has gone to that kind of play style and play calling to allow them to build early confidence. I mean, you saw it a lot in that first half against Kentucky. They had tempo moving. They were moving around different pieces here and there to get the ball moving. Obviously, still couldn't crack the end zone really in that first half. But, I mean, you saw more effective ball handling and moving in offense down the field effectively for the most part.
The other big story is what a blowout this is going to be tonight. Tennessee's just going to run away from Mississippi State because they're terrible, and they are. The worst defense in the league, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you gave up 18 points to Kentucky. Now, this defense, I'm not knocking the defense. But I didn't expect Kentucky to get 18 points. I especially didn't expect that last drive when Wimsatt got on the board and they got the 2-point conversion. All right, that's 18 points. You look at Mississippi State, what they've done this year. They put 28 on, in SEC games only, 28 on Florida, only 13 on Texas. They put 31 points on Georgia, put 24 on Texas A&M, 25 on Arkansas. They can move the football. On offense, they can score a little bit. I just wonder, nobody's thinking about it, but I wonder, do you finally give up 20 points tonight, and it's to Mississippi State, the 16th team in the league? We'll get into how their offense is the same offense you're running. But I wonder, is this going to be a little bit better test for the defense than some people may be thinking, or no, do you think it's a cakewalk?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think people need to slow down kind of their wild expectations that this is going to be a blowout game. The fact of the matter is every SEC game is not given. It's got to be earned and taken, and I mean, I think that's something that we've learned early in the season against Arkansas. But I mean, obviously, as you alluded to, Mississippi State's offense is no stranger to success. I mean, they have had success in some of their past games. Obviously, not enough to finish out games, but I mean, offensively, they're averaging about 400 yards per game. They know how to move the ball and get things going for them. And like you said, we'll get down into it deeper about how offenses are similar. But I mean, that's going to play a big key in what they're going to be able to do offensively against us to score and be successful, because they've done it against other teams. Now they got a team that they know a little bit more about than they didn't know in these other teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I do want to see how this defense performed. There were times last week when Kentucky moved the ball on them, a little bit more than I thought, a little bit more than I expected. So is this defense continuing to roll? I mean, overall, you look at the overall body of work, it's unbelievable. It's fantastic. But, you know, if you're going to look at this analytically and not just as a cheerleader fan, analytically, okay, there's still room to get better in all phases, even on that great defense. And Mississippi State, I think, is going to be a good test tonight. We'll see. Ollie Lane, thank you very much. We'll be back with you a little bit later. When we come back here on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff, we're going to be talking about the 3 reasons that Tennessee, well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to tell you this. I'll let the people tell you this. We got a few people who are going to be on this show. Let them tell you what's coming up with the show. We'll see you on the other side.
I'm Bob Hodge, and we'll give you 3 reasons the University of Tennessee will win its last 4 football games.
I'm David Ubben, and I'll tell you what the playoffs' initial rankings do for Tennessee's hopes of getting into the playoff. It's good news.
I'm Josh Ward. We're going to use some unusual prop bets to help preview tonight's game.
And I'm Ryan Callahan. I'll tell you about 3 recruits Tennessee hosted last weekend, including 2 they're looking to flip from other schools.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. The Vols are off to a hot start, so we're rolling out the hottest deals of the year. You could score a 2025 Kia Sportage for $249 a month, or you could drive home a 2024 Kia Sorento for $267 a month. Are you looking to go bigger? You could ride high in style in a 2024 Kia Telluride for $379 a month. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and make your way to Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
For 4 generations, A.G. Hines Company has been a pillar of the Knoxville community. And since Albert Hines Sr. opened our doors back in 1920, we've been supplying do-it-yourselfers with revolutionary products and tools. Manufactured stone is lighter, more cost-effective than traditional stone, featuring greater consistency of material and quicker installation times. Cutting-edge materials and tools at affordable prices. That's what we've provided for more than a century at A.G. Hines Company.
I was coming home and a lady hit me head-on. It totaled my car, it fractured my right heel, and it bruised me up really badly. The Garza Law Firm, they were very compassionate, but yet they were very detailed. They didn't let me down. They never stopped fighting. It helped me regain confidence in law firms. I would definitely recommend the Garza Law Firm.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats, like G3 John boats. Gator Tough. These rugged boats are durable and dependable, season after season. Center or side console, storage boxes. Custom design your boat for your needs. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he became an agent to make sure someone is fighting for you. Shop insurance now. See how Chris can give you peace of mind and save you some money. All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
Every Sunday morning, The Sports Source brings you 90 minutes of honest, intelligent Vols coverage. More analysts, more topics, more fun. The Sports Source, Sundays at 11 on WATE TV6 and WATE.com.
Week 11 is here, and there are no undefeated teams left in SEC play. Channel 6 will have plenty of games Vol fans should keep an eye out for. Florida travels to Texas in a game where Tennessee fans are rooting for the Gators. Kickoff is at noon. Georgia clashes with Ole Miss at 3:30. Ole Miss needs a win to keep their college football playoff hopes alive. Then the day concludes with a top 15 matchup between Alabama and LSU. The loser of this game is likely out of playoff contention. The Vols kick off against the worst team in the SEC at 7 p.m. Tennessee is looking to stay near the top of the SEC standings before its game against Georgia. Of course, once all the games end, make sure to watch our SEC wrap-up show right here on Channel 6.
Thank you, Reese. Welcome back into Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. This segment of the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff brought to you by Freshie, which is organic tequila mixed with seltzer in a ready-to-drink can. They got 3 great flavors: grapefruit, orange, lime. People online are giving it great reviews. You can try it. We've had folks on the show who've tried it who really loved it. And we serve it at the Bandit Lights Bar. That's where we're going now. Bob Hodge, Dave Hooker, Vince Ferrara. They're down there for a segment we call The 3 Reasons.
Thanks, John. Our job today is to come up with 3 reasons why Tennessee can run the table and go 4-0 and finish out the football season. And I think if you're going to start, reason number 1, actually could be reason number 1, 2, and 3. Defense.
Yeah.
But a defense that doesn't allow anybody to get to 20 points a game, that's good enough to win a lot of football games, especially your last 4.
Yeah, and now we're starting to see the turnovers on top of that. It's not just the yards and the points, it's the turnovers, and those are game-changing plays. Probably going to need those, especially against the level of competition they'll see in Georgia. That's really the big one. But yeah, defense travels as well. We'll have a couple games on the road. I think that's a great way to start, but man, that front 7, the turnovers are getting to, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, you can look at the defense compared to other SEC schools, and maybe they're 1 or 2, but there's this new term that I think we all need to know. It's hard stops.
Yeah.
Because there's always a new term in football, which basically means a non-scoring drive.
Yeah.
Tennessee leads in non-scoring drives or hard stops in the nation. So if you want to use that metric, then Tennessee is the best defense in the nation. If you want to use other metrics such as yards per game, which brings into account lesser opponents, you can do that.
Right.
But they're all right towards the top is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you watch Tennessee play, it doesn't take much for them to pass the eye test and yards per game, points per game, hard stops. Pick out a stat, but you look at that defense and you know it is a very good defense. And you've got to go to Georgia. You've got to go to Vandy, which before the season, if anybody put that in, well, you got to go to Vandy.
Right.
But defense travels.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And we've seen times under Josh Heupel where you wondered if the offense traveling, Vince, was really happening.
Right.
There were extenuating circumstances in a lot of those games, but defense must always travel.
Yeah, and then think about last thing on that. Think about all the red zone and goal line stops they've had this year too. So those are also game-changing type of plays, and they've been able to do it all year.
And if you get past the defense, which once again, defense, and you look at the offense, and the offense has struggled. The offense has struggled almost a little bit every game outside of Kent State, Chattanooga, North Carolina State. But you look at it now, and it seems to be going in a little bit of a different direction. Are you happy with where Nico Iamaleava is? Nico? I should have written that one down and said it phonetically.
I think you're really happy where Nico is since halftime of the Alabama game and moving forward. And then where Nico would be able to compete with the other quarterbacks. So you've got Carson Beck, who's throwing a lot of interceptions right now. Now, Diego Pavia, I didn't think we'd say his name, like Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. But really, Tennessee on any given day, and I know a lot's been made of Beck, could have the advantage at the quarterback position.
Yeah, he's trending in the right direction, right? Basically, a game and a half since he really started to turn the corner. Does that guarantee anything? No, but I think if they're going to go 4-0, especially at Georgia, if you're going to do it, I think you need more than just the defense and Dylan Sampson and for second half offense turning it on. I think you need a complete game. And if they do that, I think Nico is in the middle of it. He's trending in the right direction. I think if he elevates, yeah, they can go 4-0.
Yeah, and I think everybody agrees the biggest game on the schedule left is Georgia, and he is trending in the right direction, much better than Carson Beck. And you mentioned Dylan Sampson.
Yeah.
And that's the third reason I think this team can go 4-0. Dylan Sampson, before the season, ended the season, everybody was talking Nico Heisman. Mm-hmm. Nobody's mentioned Dylan Sampson very much, but I think he really is a Heisman contender. He's that good.
I think he should definitely be in the top 5, and I think by some gambling ratings, he's gotten up to about 8 or so that I have seen. And I'll say another thing about Dylan Sampson. I know he's had 2 fumbles lately, but he doesn't do that. And with Nico, he didn't have a turnover last week. So, again, maybe that strings all the way back to defense. But if Sampson and Nico can protect the ball, I think it plays into that defense winning those last 4 games.
Yeah, and they cash in when until recently kicking field goals, but they cash in the red zone when number 6 gets the football. And so I like the fact that they started getting them the ball now a little bit more the last 2 games, especially the last game, on some screenplays. They actually ran design screenplays and even checked down a little bit. But if you can get him the ball 27 touches or so, maybe a little bit more than that, I think he can help carry you, move the chains, and then to go with everything else that we've talked about, that's a winning recipe when you can run the rock, the defense, and quarterback play like we talked about. Yeah, why this team could with all those elements, including Sampson, go 4-0.
If you look at these last 4 games too, I think everybody would say 2 winnable and 2 tough, 1 very tough.
Right.
I mean, is that the way you break it down? That okay, you can't count on anything.
Yeah.
But you get by Mississippi State, you're probably going to get by Texas El Paso. Then the last 2 ball games. Yeah. I mean, I look at that, and before the season, I would have said you go 3-1. You still may go 3-1, but it could be a different one.
That's true. I would have trouble believing that Tennessee, with a college football playoff berth on the line, would actually lose to Vanderbilt. I know they've beaten Alabama and Auburn, but that just, to me, would be mind-numbing.
It would destroy a lot of people's hopes and dreams. All right, when we come back, Kevin, Ollie, and John take a different path. They tell you things Tennessee will have to fix to keep winning.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville. You hear lots of offers with insane prices, unbelievable trade-in promotions, and crazy gimmicks. But aren't you tired of all that noise? Look, at Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, our message is simple. We'll beat any dealership's price on any new Kia, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, period. If you don't buy your new Kia on Callahan Drive, you'll pay too much. Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
Safety Systems, East Tennessee's top provider of home automation, security, and life safety systems.
Home and commercial security.
Camera surveillance systems specifically designed for your property. Professional monitoring, complete with emergency and after-hours response and repair. burglar alarms for all access points. Upgrade your home or business with a single phone call to Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in home and commercial security systems for more than 20 years.
Games and Things, East Tennessee's Man Cave headquarters, is celebrating 44 years of fun with our biggest sale of the year. Everything in our award-winning showroom is on sale at up to 50% off. Pool tables, home theater seating, bar stools, video arcade games, and more, all on sale. Don't miss Games and Things' 44th anniversary with our best prices of the year. Located at the corner of Kingston Pike and Lovell Road, and online at ourgameroom.com. Games and Things, cause life should be fun.
From family heirlooms to sports memorabilia, protect and showcase your treasures with custom frames and shadow boxes, each with a lifetime guarantee. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
So many people get their insurance through an app these days, but are you getting the best deal, the coverage you need? And when you really need that coverage, who's fighting for you? All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
3 recruits to watch for Tennessee this weekend. We're going to take a look back at some of the visitors Tennessee hosted for last week's game against Kentucky. The Vols had a number of important targets in town for that game, one of the bigger visit weekends of the season, and Tennessee did take full advantage of it. A couple guys they're looking to flip from other schools in the 2025 class, starting with DeJuan Morris, an in-state running back. Currently committed to USC, has been committed to the Trojans since back in April. Tennessee finally gets him back on campus for the first time since March. He visited that game unofficially and is now talking about coming back for an official visit the weekend of November 23rd for Tennessee's home finale against UTEP. So still a situation to watch moving forward. The Vols made some progress there. Still a little bit more work to do, though, I think, if they still want to flip him away from USC, and they are looking for a second running back in this class. Another guy committed to USC, Jaden Perlotti. You've probably heard that name before. 4-star linebacker in the 2025 class. Committed to the Trojans back in late July after looking for weeks like he might be leaning toward Tennessee. The Vols haven't given up there. They got him back on campus quietly last weekend, so Tennessee still in the picture there. We'll see where it goes from here. There's talk of potentially another visit coming in the next few weeks, but regardless, Tennessee definitely still a factor there as Perlotti looks to make a final decision. And then the 2026 class, Tristan Keys, a guy we've talked about before, one of the top wide receivers in the 2026 class out of the state of Mississippi. He was back in town after visiting Tennessee for the first time last month. He's looking to make a relatively early decision, maybe sometime early next year, and that visit brought back his mother this time. A big deal for Tennessee to continue to build some momentum there with the receiver. It really has a chance at landing over the next few months. John, back to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Welcome back to Rusty Wallace Key on Callahan Drive. John Pennington, Ollie Lane here for a segment we call Checking the List. And every week we bring out a list and we check it. What we do is today is our list of things that you can continue to work on. That last segment, we gave them the fun, happy segment of reasons that Tennessee's going to win the rest of their games. We get to play the villain. We're going to look at nitpicking them, which comes with it. We're going to look at nitpicking. What do they have to fix if they want to continue to win like they've been winning? I mentioned defense in the first segment. Look, it's the best in the country. We both know that. But are there issues that need to be tweaked, that need to be looked at? Did you notice anything versus Kentucky that stood out to you as, okay, this is a little bit of an issue?
Yeah, and I mean, before you even getting into it, obviously, like you said, blanket statement, this is the best defense in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the stop rate come out. This defense is very impressive, and what they've been able to do each week has been fantastic. However, looking at that, to continue to be the greatest defense, to be the best defense in the country, you got to improve on the little tiny things every single week. And I mean, as a coaching staff over there, and Tim Banks knows, they got to continue to fix the little things to be great. And so, I mean, looking back at that Kentucky game, I saw some opportunities where they maybe were a little aggressive on their blitzes, bringing too many guys off an edge, leaving open receivers. And then I saw some misfits and linebackers hitting gaps and stuff like that, wanting to hit it a little too quick. Arion Carter and Thielander, such explosive players, wanting to lay the big wallop on people. Yeah. And so, I mean, they want to hit those gaps as fast as they see them open up, but you want to make sure it's the right gap. And I think sometimes they were hitting the wrong gap and allowing the running backs to get through there and make some big runs. And it's just some areas where you can look back at that game and say, well, here's some third down opportunities that we could have stopped them and got off the field a little earlier than we did in this drive. So, I mean, just taking that, looking at it, analyzing it, and focusing on how can we fix these little things to continue to be the best defense in the country every single week. And as the competition continues to get harder as you go further into the season and what might be a postseason.
Let me ask you about the offensive side of the ball. Again, another thing I mentioned in the first segment, knowing we'd get into it later, the receivers had a rough day. You had 3 different receivers with touchdown drops. Granted, Kitzelman got popped on his drop, but if it's a national championship game, you need to come up with that ball. So that 3 drops. You've been on a team before where you know guys, oh gosh, he screwed up, or boy, that guy screwed up, or you've screwed up. You know, everybody's had a bad game. I've certainly had some bad shows. You just have to get through it. But how rough is that when you know 100,000 people know that you just got called for that holding period, or you gave up the sack, or you dropped the ball? How rough is that, first of all? Second of all, what's the relationship with your teammates?
Yeah.
Do they have your back? They say, don't worry about it. Is it better to leave you alone? Talk to me about getting through a bad game, which is what the receivers had last week.
I mean, having a bad game for everybody is not fun. It's a tough experience to go through, but I mean, you know, it continues to drive home what your character is, what your personality is, and really who your teammates and your brothers are. And you know, Tennessee does that great job of promoting family culture, and everybody's got everybody's back. And the teammates, when situations like this happen, it really speaks true. The teammates down there at University of Tennessee, they do a fantastic job of just holding everybody close together and lifting them up in times of struggle and need. And I mean, obviously, you're not always going to have the cleanest game. And you know, the hardest thing about playing for Tennessee, some of the times for me personally, was just the nervous anxiety that builds up going out to perform in front of 100,000 people, and then knowing that at the end of that game that you let down 100,000 people plus thousands more on national TV. I mean, it's not a great feeling, but you ignore what people say on the outlets everywhere and just kind of focus on what you can control the controllables, and really lean on those guys that are in that locker room with you, because everybody's had that and been through that time. So I mean, they know what it's like for that guy going through something like that, and know how to lift him up and hold him a little tighter and just get him through such a tough period, because you got another game to focus on now. You got to put that pass. And I mean, it's a lot of coach talk, but I mean, that snap and clear mentality really rings true in situations like that. You got to now prepare yourself to focus on a new opponent, and you've got a whole week to where you can't spend that whole week focusing on what happened the last week. You've got to focus on what you're going to do, what plays you're going to put out there for this week.
One guy, and I'll just mention, you don't have to fire off on this one, but one guy that's got to be having that mentality this week is Max Gilbert. If Tennessee's going to play, and maybe it's not a defensive battle tonight, but they're going to have some down the rest of, you know, Georgia, Vandy. Those could be tough, tight games. The way that Tennessee plays, they're going to need their kicker to get his head right. He had been a very good kicker for a walk-on freshman. He'd done a good job this year, 12 of 12 inside of 50 until last week. He's missed 5 of his last 6, missed 3 chippies last week. He's got to get that fixed. But I do want to ask you, we talked about offensive line. We got about a minute and a half here. Offensive line, still get holding penalties. Josh Heupel's teams get a lot of penalties. They did at UCF. We broke it down on our television show on Sunday when he got here. Watch for penalties. Because he's always got teams that are loaded up in penalties, specifically with the offensive line, and then just overall. How much does he try and correct that? Is it just a thing? Is it just coach speak to move on? Or is he really making a point of emphasis? Because if he is, doesn't seem to be taking. Every year they have a ton of penalties. How does Josh Heupel work to correct penalties in practice and behind the scenes?
I mean, this honestly probably not coming from the best guys. I have supplied plenty of Josh Heupel's penalties throughout the years. And I mean, the fact is, you know, highlight a lot of the holding penalties gets called a ton, and you know, I was a regular holder offender, I guess. But I mean, it just, you know, it happens.
You're beating yourself up too much.
But I mean, when you see it, you know, offensive linemen, they're going to hold on every single play. It's going to happen. You know, Heupel understands those things are going to happen to a point. You know, you obviously coach play clean, do everything clean, do it right, and you drive that point home. But at the end of the day, as a coaching staff and the scheme that you're wanting to run and what they do, they understand that playing penalties are going to happen. What they really put a huge focus on is just eliminating the functionality penalties, the moving illegal formations and all the little offsides and stuff like that. Eliminate those. The playing penalties and stuff like that is going to happen from time to time, but eliminate the penalties that you can get rid of.
All right. Some things that they got to work on to fix moving forward if they want to continue to run the table here in 2024. When we come back, Let's take a look over at the Wise guys. They'll be joining us to break down the game with some fun prop bets. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats, like Hurricane deck boats. Perfecting fun on the water for more than 45 years with innovative and incredibly versatile designs. Experience freedom, laughter, and adventure on the water with Hurricane. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
I see Marco's role in the community as somebody that people can look up to.
Marcos Garza is very thoughtful. He pays attention to the needs of the people in the community.
He's somebody that's very unselfish, somebody that's going to always be there.
Marcos Garza will work as hard as he can to get the best results for you.
In the future, no matter where I'm playing, no matter what the team I'm playing for, I'll always be on Garza's team.
The Garza Law Firm is Mama Zizi approved.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. The Vols are off to a hot start, so we're rolling out the hottest deals of the year. You can score a 2025 Kia Sportage for $249 a month, or you can drive home a 2024 Kia Sorento for $267 a month. Are you looking to go bigger? You could ride high in style in a 2024 Kia Telluride for $379 a month. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and make your way to Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
Playoff committee did Tennessee a solid this week, putting the Vols at number 7 in their first rankings of the 2024 season. It makes one thing clear. There's zero doubt that if Tennessee wins out the rest of the way and finishes at 11-1, they are going to the playoff, period. Even with an SEC title game loss, and certainly if they win, they'll get that bye. But if the Vols do lose a game, be it Georgia or anyone else, that number 7 initial ranking gives them a little bit of a more margin for error, depending on how that loss or another loss shakes out. They'll dip in the rankings, but there's time for more upsets, other teams to lose, and Tennessee might float back up as teams stumble, and the Vols can still make the field. The bottom line is this. There's only 4 one-loss teams ahead of Tennessee. There are no 2-loss teams ahead of Tennessee. If it loses again, it will probably still be ahead of all of those 2-loss teams, and the odds of the Vols making the playoff at 10-2 are a lot better than the odds of the Vols getting left out. It's a good space to be. The Vols should be very happy with what the committee did to them in the first rankings of the season.
Thank you, David. Welcome back to Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. This segment of the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Games and Things. And right now, it is their 44th anniversary sale. 44 years. You don't do that unless you've got some really good stuff to sell, and they do. And right now, during that sale, you can get anything in the store. It's all off up to 50%. Up to 50%. What kind of stuff do they carry? Well, pay attention in this next segment. We're going to the Games and Things game room. What you see there is what you can get at Games and Things. It's time for Josh Ward, Tyler Ivins, Chuck Cavaleris, and a segment we call The Wise Guys.
Thanks, Sean. All right, guys, Vols versus the Bulldogs tonight at 7 o'clock. We have 6 over-unders to help break down the game. I'll give you the first one. Tennessee wide receiver Dante Thornton is averaging 2 catches and 50 yards per game. Over-under, 2 catches and 49.5 yards tonight for Dante Thornton.
Over. And I don't have to think twice about this. Boys,
that was no hesitation.
I mean, look, Mississippi State's defense is hot and cold. Watching them each of the last 2 weeks against Arkansas and UMass has taught me something. This defense is poor. There's a reason why they're 0-5. They are the last conference team without a win this year. their offense can click together late when you give them opportunities, or they play against a poor defense, much like UMass has. I think Dante Thornton has a massive game. I think Nico has a massive game. I think this offense let's just say this. If somebody's about to ask a first half scoring question, over tonight. Over.
I'm getting dizzy watching your head go.
All right, Tyler's hand has been shown, Chuck.
Yeah.
You going over?
I mean, here I'm just thinking, as long as he's healthy and can move and he's mobile, yeah. I mean, it should. 2 catches, give me 1.5. Give me one, at the end of the half. But yeah, he should be able to do that. I would put him more on like 4 catches and 70 yards.
Okay. On the same page with you there.
I could see him going over on just 1 catch. So does he get the volume of catches because it could still be spread around? I'm not as confident on the catch number, but yardage, yes, because he has 1 in it. It can take 1 play to hit that over.
We'll give him a wide receiver screen.
There you go. That'll get him to 3.
2 blocks, you're home.
We're sweeping the over.
Tennessee averages 43 points per game at home this season. Over under 35.5 points versus Mississippi State tonight, Chuck Cavaleris. 35.5. They're averaging 43.
I'm going to take over. I mean, this is the kind of, it's time to make an impression. Your offense has shown some life.
Right.
I think you should be able. John Pennington said it on the Sunday show. What's Mississippi State giving up? 450 yards and 40 points a game in SEC play at home at night? Yes, it's time for Tennessee to put the fireworks on the field.
I thought Tennessee would go over this last week, and they should have. The plays were there. Now they need to hit some of those plays because they're going to be there again tonight. So I'll bet again, yes. I will say that Tennessee actually connects on some of those plays. Some of them may be able to catch and run to make those plays happen, so they're not as difficult down the field passes. I will go over on Tennessee's 35.5 points.
Copy, paste, go over on everything tonight that's going to happen. I remember when I thought, okay, is UTEP going to be the homecoming game this year? Wait, Mississippi State is. Why would you? They're just about UTEP. Look, it's SEC squad versus somebody who is right now bottom 130, 132s. That's Mississippi State's best.
Here's one thing. I'm tired of hearing we're this close on offense.
Yes,
Tennessee
fans, everybody's nodding their head right now.
It's one player that's holding us back.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you have there for us, Joe?
Okay. On the season, Mississippi State has more pass plays of 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 yards than our Tennessee Vols. Will the Bulldogs average more yards per pass attempt tonight?
Maybe. Van Buren's been able to put up some yards this season. He has multiple 300-yard games. So average, I will say yes. I will say he averages more per play.
When you're down 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, you have to.
I mean, what is it?
Junk plays.
Yeah, garbage time.
Yeah, their yardage won't necessarily tell you the story of the game. It might tell you the opposite, in fact, of what you see and what it actually means.
Yeah, and there's a reason what Tennessee line 23.5, 24.5.
Where you shop.
So if you're that far behind at some point, what are you going to be doing?
Yeah.
Okay,
chucking it down the field.
So Jeff Lebby's offense will get something going, just not enough to keep up with all the overs on Tennessee's side.
Exactly.
Tyler Ivan sees. Okay, guys, Dylan Sampson's most productive quarter is the third quarter. He has 272 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's been the fix for some of the first half woes. Over under 40.5 rushing yards in the third quarter for Dylan Sampson tonight. Over under 40.5 yards.
And just in the third quarter.
Just the third quarter. Do we see a big third quarter as we have already from Dylan?
Yeah, no. If it's not broke, yeah. That's a really good question because I was trying to discern, okay, if they come out of the locker room and it's a 14, 17-point game, I'm trying to do my simulations in my head. Yeah, this is a 45, 50 yards. This is a let's rock the baby to sleep. He's the one who can bleed the clock that carries it over to 21, 24-point lead in the fourth quarter. That's when some people who took Mississippi State in the points are going to sit there and go, ooh. Yeah, so to me, I say yes.
And I'm thinking about Tennessee's pattern of using him, right? Pretty heavy in the first quarter, kind of tap the brakes a little bit in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Start of the second half, he may get it 6 straight times, who knows? So, yeah, I would take third quarter over.
Yeah, same here. This isn't the Chattanooga game where you're just expecting everybody sitting in the third quarter. This isn't that. And Tennessee has to prove a lot more before we could even make that kind of idea. So, yeah, in terms of rotation and who's getting the ball when, why would I bet against it in the third quarter?
All right, gentlemen, how about only 3 kickers in the SEC have attempted more field goals than Max Gilbert, but he's missed 5 of his last 6. Will Gilbert attempt 2 or more field goals tonight, Chuck Cavaleris?
Yes, I think he will. I think they're trying to get the confidence back up if it needs to be back up. The thing I would say, with the closer you are to the uprights or to the shorter the field goal is attempt, the better I think it is for him. I think when he gets outside that kind of 45 yards, he may press, and that's where several of the misses were early. Now they've been all over the place. But, yeah, I think he does attempt at least 2.
I think Josh Heupel will give him another chance to get right. So the offense will probably do that at some point as well. So 2 or more, I'll say yes. Tyler, we're in our final minute, so I'll go quick with my yes to 2 or more.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. That he ends up. I think he goes 3 for 3 tonight. I don't even think he misses.
Chuck, what do you have?
In their last 4 games, the Vols have led by an average of 4.7 points after 3 quarters. Tennessee minus 7.5 at the end of the 3rd quarter tonight. Don't fall out of your chair.
You're not hesitating. I'll say Tennessee. I'll take Tennessee to cover that. I do think this is a get-right spot for Tennessee. They better. I'll take Tennessee.
Vols are up 3 touchdowns at the end of the 3rd quarter. Now you got to ride the Lightning at 24, 23 points the rest of the way.
If it's a 7.5 point game at the end of 3 quarters, then our offense isn't clicking, right?
Yeah.
Or it's just like 45 to 42 kind of score. No, this should be the easiest one we've had so far today.
Okay.
Tennessee minus 7.5 end of the 3rd quarter. Yeah.
If they're only up by 7 points at the end of the 3rd quarter, steak dinner on me, boys.
We have properly jinxed the Vols. When we come back, Jeff Lebby and Josh Heupel, they have a long history. So what's it mean for tonight's game? That when we come back.
Games and Things, East Tennessee's Man Cave headquarters, is celebrating 44 years of fun with our biggest sale of the year. Everything in our award-winning showroom is on sale at up to 50% off. Pool tables, home theater seating, bar stools, video arcade games, and more, all on sale. Don't miss Games and Things' 44th anniversary with our best prices of the year. Located at the corner of Kingston Pike and Lovell Road, and online at ourgameroom.com. Games and Things, cause life should be fun.
Safety Systems, East Tennessee's top provider of home automation, security, and life safety systems.
Home automation.
Our expert technicians can turn your home into a smart home, allowing you to control and monitor everything from lighting and climate to entertainment systems, security systems, and even appliances, all from your phone or tablet. Upgrade your home with a single phone call to Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in home automation for more than 20 years.
Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he became an agent to make sure someone is fighting for you. Shop insurance now. See how Chris can give you peace of mind and save you some money. All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
From works of art to family photos, enhance the beauty and protect your memories with custom frames, museum-quality glass, and guaranteed craftsmanship. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville. You hear lots of offers with insane prices, unbelievable trade-in promotions, and crazy gimmicks. But aren't you tired of all that noise? Look, at Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, our message is simple. We'll beat any dealership's price on any new Kia, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, period. If you don't buy your new Kia on Callahan Drive, you'll pay too much. Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
All right, this week with Captain's Corner, one of the phrases that was always shared year after year is they remember what you do in November. The captains need to take that and share that with the team and make sure they understand you finish through the line. You finish strong. You don't lay up. You don't take teams lightly. I think they've yet to play their best football in front of them. And I think inside the locker room, the defense goes to the offense and says that. The offense goes to the special teams and says that. And the special teams say, hey, we can do better, right? This is the time of the year when you in the locker room look at the younger guys and say, you're not younger guys anymore. You play way too much football. You need to step up. We need to finish strong. Those kind of leadership moments are the ones that really allow you to place your mark on a season. They remember what you do in November. So go out, take every game, get better, play what's still in front of you, because there's a lot of teams out there that don't have a lot to play for, and go make your mark. Remember what they do in November, because December, you're playing in some really special games. John, back to you.
Thanks to Mike. Welcome back into Rusty Wallace Key on Callahan Drive. This is the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. It's a segment we call What's the Game Plan? And let me tell you, folks, in terms of a game plan, if you find yourself in any kind of trouble legally, if you find yourself in any kind of bind legally, your game plan should have one big key step as your number one thing to do. Call the Garza Law Firm. Marcos Garza has been in this community for years. He's got a track record a mile long, and it's a very, very good track record. Do your own research. You'll see the testimonial evidence of just how good Marcos and his attorneys are. GarzaLaw.com is where you can learn more about the best attorneys in all of East Tennessee. All right, as I say, this segment, what's the game plan? And we talk about game plan usually, but today's a little bit different. Instead of just the specific game plan, I want to talk, Ollie, about the two coaches going against each other. And we got a graphic up right here. Josh Heupel and Jeff Lebby, man, they got a shared history. In 2004, they were both at Oklahoma, one as a student assistant, one as a grad assistant. In 2006, Josh Heupel returned to Oklahoma. He was the quarterback's coach for the Sooners, while Lebby was still a student assistant. 2018, when Josh Heupel became a first-year head coach at UCF, he hired Jeff Lebby as his quarterback coach, and the very next year, he promoted Lebby to be his offensive coordinator. And they both learned the veer and shoot offense from Art Briles. Lebby is Art Briles' son-in-law. They run the same system. They practice against this system. They know the keys. So if I do this, he'll do that. Oklahoma was able to use a little bit of that. They gave Tennessee some trouble. Mississippi State doesn't have the same talent as Oklahoma, but still, how big of a concern is it that they know what you want to do, or is it canceled out because, but we know what they want to do too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it cancels itself out in a turn a little bit just because we know exactly what they're going to do in turn. So, I mean, we know how to structure our defense and set it up in a way that what hurts us, we know that's going to be able to hurt them. But in turn, they know the same thing. I think the other thing to look at, too, is also that Mississippi State does not have the talent that the Oklahomas have. And so I don't know if they'll be able to successfully put together a system that will run well for them.
Yeah.
That if they were to change something dramatically from what they do base now, but, moving forward, like you look at this game and you see like they both know the keys to establish themselves and get themselves in the game. And both of these offenses rely heavily on their ability to get tempo, assertiveness into the game. And ipso facto, you're at Tennessee this week. Advantage Tennessee, you got the home crowd. You can mess up their tempo and allow them to not get established, and that's only going to help the defense to avoid them from having any keys to the game for them.
Yeah, well, that's one thing you've talked about all year is the fact that when this offense goes on the road, it's hard to get in tempo because the crowd noise just slows it down.
Yeah.
And now the crowd, and I'm guessing Tennessee fans are going to be into it tonight now that we've seen the playoffs and they know they've got a clear path to get there. I'm guessing the fans will be loud and make it rough on Mississippi State. The other difference is Tennessee's defense, as we talked about, is one of the best in the country. Mississippi State's is the worst in the SEC. They give up in SEC play, they're giving up 40 points and 500 yards per game. That's not real good.
Yeah.
Tennessee's offense has struggled at times, but is this could this be a get-right game for the offense because the Mississippi State lacks the talent? You do know what they have. On the other side of the ball what they're going to want to do offensively. Do you feel, and we'll get to our predictions later, but do you feel this has the opportunity of it's been a while since you've had a breakaway game. Does this have the makeup of that? A lot of people out there are thinking, it's definitely a blowout. Does it? I mean, you can kind of see that, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it building. The fact of the matter is every game could be a boat race if you want it to be. I mean, you can get to that point if you want it to be. Yeah, if everything's hitting that day and you can execute and get to that point, it can be. This game has a higher potential percentage chance to get to that point, and I think it could. I mean, obviously, this offense has struggled in the past, but, I mean, this is a good opportunity for them to kind of get some of that heated frustration out on another team, put up some points, have some swagger, some style about you, and be flashy all over everything and get that confidence back as you roll into some pretty tough games coming down to the end of the season.
Last thing to ask you about this. These two guys know each other very well as we broke it down. How much do you expect? I mean, some offenses can really give you a change-up from time to time. And you've broken down that these guys, they love to get in the film room. They like to throw little different things at you. But I just wonder, since each one knows the other guy's keys, do you expect them just to run their usual stuff at each other? How different can you make this offense? Or is it just, look, It's tempo, it's the spacing. For the most part, it is what it is. Do you expect these two just to say, hey, I know what you're doing and I'm bringing my best? Or do you think there's room to really surprise one another?
I think there's some room for some surprise in there because, I mean, obviously both of these systems come from the same place, but they've both taken their own evolution to it and different styles on how they want to develop it and further it into the future of college football. And so, I mean, I think you'll see some new exciting plays maybe thrown out from both sides. There's some stuff that they haven't run all season to give them a shot because they know what the base is. They know what the keys are. They know what they want to get into. So maybe they throw some stuff out there to kind of make them think differently.
All right, very good. Ollie Lane, when we come back, I'm going to get a prediction from him. I'm going to give you my prediction, and we'll get predictions from everybody else in this show. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
For 4 generations, A.G. Heinz Company has been a pillar of the Knoxville community. And since Albert Heinz Sr. opened our doors back in 1920, we've been supplying do-it-yourselfers with revolutionary products and tools. With Nudura insulated concrete forms, your project will be both rock solid and more energy efficient than steel or wood structures. Cutting-edge materials and tools at affordable prices. That's what we've provided for more than a century at A.G. Heinz Company.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats like Skeeter Bass Boats. For more than 75 years, generations of anglers have trusted Skeeter. The best engineered boats on the water. Ensure a smooth, dry, safe trip to your favorite fishing hole. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. The Vols are off to a hot start, so we're rolling out the hottest deals of the year. You can score a 2025 Kia Sportage for $249 a month, or you can drive home a 2024 Kia Sorento for $267 a month. Are you looking to go bigger? You can ride high in style in a 2024 Kia Telluride for $379 a month. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and make your way to Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
From family heirlooms to sports memorabilia, protect and showcase your treasures with custom frames and shadow boxes, each with a lifetime guarantee. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
Every Sunday morning, the Sports Source brings you 90 minutes of honest, intelligent Vols coverage. More analysts, more topics, more fun. The Sports Source, Sundays at 11 on WATE TV6 and WATE.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. We're at Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. This is our prediction segment. It's always brought to you by Chris Smith Insurance. He's my insurance guy. If you need home insurance, if you need car insurance, he can help you in a couple of ways. One, he's a farmer's agent, so he's got those great farmer's policies that he can put before you. But if none of those seem to fit for you, he's also an independent agent, which means he's got even more policies that he can put in front of you and help you save money, help you protect your property and your family. Chris Smith Insurance. Now let's get to today's predictions in a segment we call Who, How, and Why.
All right, prediction time, guys. Tennessee, Mississippi State tonight. Chuck, why don't we start with you? What happens tonight?
Vols 45-10. Cam Seldon has another breakout type game. Drew McCoy catches his first touchdown pass.
All right, fans have been waiting on that one. 45-17. What do you say?
Keep it under the total. Mississippi State covers, so I'll go 40-17 tonight. Comfortable win. Vols can look ahead of the matchup with Georgia next week.
Guys, I'm afraid we are way too close in what we see happening in tonight's game. That's going to scare Tennessee fans, and our scores have been so close a lot this season. At least Tennessee has won a lot of those games.
Exactly.
41-17 is my score. Tennessee getting to that 40-point mark. It's amazing how long it's taken to get back there after the first 3 games scoring 50 points in each game. Defensively, though, I think they continue to do what they have. There will be more opportunities to move the ball, I think, with Jeff Lebby in that offense and Van Buren at quarterback. But Tennessee's defense has a way of getting stops, and I think they will again tonight.
Should be all Vols. Mississippi State is the worst defense in the SEC, giving up more than 460 yards per game. We've been saying it a lot, but I genuinely believe the offense clicks and the Vols win this one 45-10 over the Bulldogs.
With Mississippi State coming to town this week, Tennessee's offense appears to be getting better. Your defense is already really, really good. You're going to play what I think is the worst team in the SEC. I think Tennessee gets it clicking a little bit. They get the points they left on the field last week. Tennessee 43, Mississippi State 13.
Yeah, very similar, Bob. I think Tennessee wins 42-14. I think you'll see that next step in the offense. I think they'll get multiple scores in the first half. Won't go back to like they were at the beginning of the year, scoring 60, 70 points, but it's a really bad Mississippi State defense. I think you'll see Tennessee consistent throughout the game, and then maybe a late score to add a second touchdown for Mississippi State.
I'm going to take 46-12, and I'll go with 12. That's 4 field goals just because Tennessee's been so good in the red zone. I'm sick of saying this is the breakout game for Nico, but I do believe he has turned a corner. And this Mississippi State roster is bad, guys. I know a lot of Tennessee fans look at the 2001 roster that Josh Heupel got. This one's worse, so there's no reason Tennessee shouldn't win by 30 points.
I think Tennessee can count on seeing more than 7 points in the first half of this year's game. Mississippi State, not a team that's very good on the lines of scrimmage. I think Tennessee takes care of business here, wins this game 44-13.
All right, score prediction for me against Mississippi State. Tennessee, I think, starts making more progress on offense. I think our defense is still strong. I do think Mississippi State gets some garbage at the end. But my score, Tennessee 31, Mississippi State 21.
I'll take Tennessee 38-13 over Mississippi State. I just don't think this Mississippi State team is very good. They obviously haven't won an SEC game yet this year. Had some moments like against Georgia where they've been a little feistier, but Tennessee's defense should bounce back from last week's game against Kentucky, and I think the Vols have a better offensive game than they've had in a while.
All right, you heard everybody else's predictions there. Ollie, I'll give you mine. I'm going 38-20. I've debated 35-20, 38-20. I'm going 38-20. I think that Mississippi State, maybe it's junk time, but I think they do become the first team to put 20 on you. They've scored some points against other SEC teams this year. I don't think it's going to be a game that's in doubt, though. I think Tennessee leads it the whole way, but it may be a little closer than people think. 38-20. What are you doing?
No, as you alluded to, I think Mississippi State's improved over the last few weeks, but I think it's a big ask for them to come to Neyland and to really put on a good performance. I'm going 38-10.
Okay.
I think the offense has improved, but I think with just the loud amount of fans after Alabama coach wants to call you out and say you're not loud enough, I think they're going to put the extra effort in to be even louder, and it's just going to throw that tempo off.
Well, Tennessee will just pump in more crowd noise.
Yeah.
When you look at this, there's a couple of things. One, the playoff bracket was released this week for the first time. Tennessee's in there. Could that be a distraction for this team? How big of a distraction was the playoff talk and watching brackets and all that stuff in 2022 when you were on that team? Or was it?
I wouldn't say it was much of a distraction. It was just like a cool nod. It was kind of like the first year they really started doing that thing. But being number one was something that was really cool, but it wasn't so much of a distraction because it felt like we didn't really have an opportunity to prove it yet. We haven't gotten to that point to really truly say we're number one in the country yet because you got another number one team. I don't know if they'll use it as a distraction, as more of a motivation of, this is where they value it, us at now. We should be higher. Let's use that to motivate it for a higher ranking.
So there's not a lot of focus on that, in other words. All right. And then the other thing that I will just throw in here at the end of the show is Dylan Sampson has done a tremendous job all year. But the fact that this is a guy who's having to carry it 27, 26 times a game, that's a bit much. So hopefully tonight, without Deshaun Bishop, you're going to see Peyton Lewis. You may see Cam Selton if he gets healthy enough. You need those guys to take a little of the carries away from Dylan Sampson so you don't just wear him out every week. Ollie Lane, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody else who's been on our show. Thanks to the folks at Rusty Wallace Kia and Callahan Drive. You've heard how busy it is today. It's pretty busy down here, right down to the vacuum cleaner. We will see you next Saturday, and we'll also see you tomorrow on WATE6 right here for the Sports Source. We're getting a 90-minute breakdown of Tennessee, Mississippi State. Enjoy the game. Good luck to the Vols.